All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth. We have a bit of kind of a full house today. We've never really done super of the moment topical subjects before, so I figure with this whole Kanye West thing, and I've been going through like my Instagram and stuff like that, just seeing like the wild shit the wild takes that people are having on this. I figure might as well let's just go at it and see what we think. I guess we have. Let me introduce everybody. I have again Nate Cap. You want to say hi?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on your show again. It's been a while, been a hot minute.
Mm.
I'm a spiritual detective. I'm an investigator. I run two podcast shows, one called Outcasting, the other called Cubbyhole, and both shows are all about restoring critical knowledge for the advancement of human evolution with the goal of basically helping us move in the direction of freedom.
Cool. And we also have someone who hasn't been on for a while, TMHands. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I am TMHands, the phantom member of the group here. I am a comic book artist, author of angelprotected.com. Yeah.
Oh, and you have your own podcast too, right?
I do. I just started it. I have to like switch hosting sites, so
Oh,
that's the only annoying thing. I was on Rumble, but
Just put it on
Rumble
Rumble.
won't like let me do it.
you what?
Yeah, like I want Rumble.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed that the last episode I did with David, we talked about the Little Mermaid, and we played the trailer of it, and the video got like copyright like blocked because we played the trailer.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so that was
On
fucking
Rumble?
weird on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
weird.
yeah.
I guess David, you want to introduce yourself for the pretty people?
I'm one of the original, one of the originals, along with TM and Senior Filth, and I don't know what else to say. I'm just here to like listen to everybody. Hopefully, give my input and just further the dialogue and discussion on these critical topics of today.
All right. And next we have Trevor Brown, the American hating Trevor Brown.
I don't hate America. I just hate everything that we export to other countries. But anyway, my name is Trevor Brown, and I am a small business owner, editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network, and the CEO of Simple Social Media, where I help you get off of big tech. Because honestly, big tech, little bit barbaric, a little bit on the oligarchy side, and me no like that, and me think you shouldn't like that either, and me think me can help you with that basically. And so that's where I'm at. Already made $1,000 in sales in just my
Nice.
first week, onto my second week, and we help everyone from top creators to just small time people trying to clone their Facebook, clone their Instagram onto more liberty platforms like Gab, Minds, and Getter, because you know what, these platforms aren't going to exist forever, and you're going to lose the precious photos of your children. Also, big tech sucks.
Right. I think we can all.
It's basically it, and that's why I've made a decent chunk of change helping people like you in a very short amount of time. So yeah.
Let's just go with it. So the whole Kanye West thing, this all started out huge controversy for some reason when someone wears a sweater with the phrase "White Lives Matter" on, was it a Paris fashion show or something like that? I have no idea why this is controversial, and I mean, do you guys find that phrase controversial?
Well, no, but that's because I'm not evil.
Right.
Basically, I could like go into the in-depth explanation,
Yeah.
but I
Any
don't care. It's not.
yeah.
It means very little to me. It's of no importance or consequence.
Yeah.
I don't understand either.
Yeah.
It means nothing to all of us because we are racists.
Well, that's true. You know.
Well, actually, yeah, we have the restrictive view of racism in that it needs to be racist instead of the expansive view of racism where
Yeah.
it's white people existing. It's late for me. I don't feel like quoting the critical race theorists right now. I'll just say
don't-
what they actually mean.
You don't have to. It's cool. But
Well,
yeah.
I think it's something that needed to be said, something to just like air things out, because I think there's like a lot of people that want to say this or have been saying it, but they don't have a platform big enough like Kanye, or they're not known as much, or they're being suppressed.
Mhm.
So him doing it is just kind of like opening it up, is just kind of opening up the air and room for everybody, just to kind of just it's because it's not like a big deal. There's nothing really to that statement, but like that it became so polarized and so divisive. Like it, you should be able, like, it's the first step is gonna be hard, but it just needs to be put out there.
Yeah.
And I don't see how. I wish like little people like us could do something like that and actually make an impact, but
Mhm.
it's gonna have to be, I guess, people like Kanye, kind of like leading
Yeah.
things.
How the hell did it come to a point where if you where whiteness is just automatically associated with racist? Because I remember a few years ago, there was like this kind of internet thing of people posting like, what is it, like, it's okay to be white, I think it was, in like college campuses.
Yeah.
And there was this huge controversy to it, and like you have to view the world through a very particular lens to immediately just jump to that being racist, when I mean it's just a simple statement. Like, what the fuck? Why are people like that?
It's because, and I guess this is where my first instinct will come in, even though I'm tired, so probably not sound too in depth or whatever. But it's because they're thinking the term "white lives matter" has an inverse connotation to the phrase "Black Lives Matter," because
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter from 2020 we know it to be a black supremacist,
Marxist.
defrauding terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Did I mention the black nationalism? But they think that they think essentially in terms of Gramsci.
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter is literally just what Gramsci calls a war of position on the West. So what that basically means is Gramsci was like, oh man, the people in the West don't want to revolt because like they can trust their institutions because their institutions are trustworthy. So if we just subvert the institutions to make and the people in the country so that they're no longer trustworthy, then we can get them to revolt and have communism. Because he's an insane person, but they're basically on that same path. Kimberly Crenshaw like outright calls intersectionality coin a war of position. They're essentially getting at is because we're normal people and we see the situation of, okay, Candace Owens teamed up with Kanye West. They made a slightly edgy joke in order to in a satirical way attack a black supremacist terrorist organization that has defrauded millions of Americans, stolen their money, and like created a real estate empire with Victorian mansions of all things.
Yeah.
Like that's how, because we're just looking at the situation as it is, but they're viewing it as, oh God, they're doing what we're doing, because
Right.
Kanye West could literally say the same things with a White Lives Matter connotation that is said with the Black Lives Matter connotation.
Yeah.
When we say White Lives Matter, we're not saying only White Lives Matter. We're saying White Lives Matter too. like things like that.
Yeah.
Like this could be done very, 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 very easily, and then because their fear essentially is that a bunch of white supremacists, which is basically the same thing as a is the same thing as a black supremacist. They're both left wing. They're both engaging in the Hegelian dialectic or whatever, but they're just like screw it.
Do you see it as like a kind of like do you see it?
Hate all of this,
Do you see it as like a sort of like them trying to like reverse what they consider colonization, like the white people doing, like Black Lives Matter is sort of doing the same thing, but it's good because it's not white, or you know what I mean? That's why I kind of get the vibe sometimes.
Race theorist perspective, but the Farrakhan types, like the we was Kangs, everything good that happened in history was because of black people. All the bad stuff that happened in history was because of white people. All Mediterranean people are black. Ignore the indigenous Egyptians who have fair skin. Ignore all of this. Right? The Romans were black until they were conquered by the Germanic tribes. Then they were white. Also, the Germanic tribes are black while they were conquering the Romans. But the Farrakhan types are very much, let's just have our revenge.
Right.
The critical race theorist types they view the world through the lens of power. So Black Lives Matter is good because it gives our racial group power. Like they don't necessarily view the world in terms of Derek Bell would view it in a kind of revenge sense, probably. I don't know, he's dead now, and I can't ask him. but like the Kimberly Crenshaw, there's one the Dorothy E. Roberts, like the intersectional types, which is what has taken over the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole. They don't really view things as revenge as much as they do blocks of power. Like your racial group can either be dominant or it cannot be dominant, or you could just stop being barbarians and just be nice to each other, you freaks. But that's just where I'm at with it.
Well, it comes down like not to race, but what you're saying, it's all power. Like anybody in a place of power is going to take advantage. It has nothing to do with if you're a guy or a girl. A girl in power is going to take advantage of that. Same thing with somebody that's white. Same thing as with somebody that's black or Chinese. If you have power, you're gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Like right now, like the power is just being moved around just to kind of like divide people even more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's mental, it's manipulation. It's the whole Black Lives Matter thing is literally just brainwash. It's manipulating already hateful mind think. I mean, like in the black community, there's black people that really don't like white people. Why? Who fucking knows? Because they're stuck on race on the plantation, and they think that Django Unchained actually happened. There's those people, right, that think that the white man is out to get them, and that's what's really going on. And so those people are their mind is also warped around this concept that they are getting taken advantage of, and that anger and that hatred that they have in themselves is coming back, and it's manipulating them. And then Black Lives Matter, they don't really care. I saw it throughout the whole entire the whole 2020 riot thing. Like they were literally just like even before then, a friend of mine's son died, and Black Lives Matter came on. They didn't come out. He got killed by another black guy, another black kid, this kid. And before that, an officer shot a black guy who was robbing a liquor store, and he died. And then Black Lives Matter came out there, and they were like worshiping the ground that this criminal walked on. They don't care. They just care about police brutality, and as if that cop is white, then they're racist. And that's how it just trickled down into this. Now all of a sudden all white people are racist because they're white, and if they say something that's negative about a black person or criticizing a black person's actions, they're racist now. And now we have this whole entire like cult of people who are obsessed with being a part of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. It's either they're an ally of Black Lives Matter or they're like literal cultists that are in it. And the more angry black people there are, that honestly they're not really angry at being at white people. They're angry about how they chose their life to go, but they want to blame it on someone. So why not blame Whitey? You know, so that's I think that that's where it really comes from. Like, I mean, I've seen it like hands on, honestly. Like I lived in the black community. I've listened to those conversations of, damn, so and so, that white bitch. Oh, so and so, that white dude. Man, he's always talking about this because he's white. Like, come on, like if you have to put a color onto whatever you're saying, you're the racist. And they're not like acknowledging that. They don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to come out and say that they're the racist one. Instead, it's blame Whitey for everything that's going on wrong in my life, even though they had nothing to do with it.
A lot of projection going on.
For the record, I think TMHands is black. I think, right?
I didn't. I could not have known unless you pointed it out.
I mean,
I could not have possibly.
I might secretly have a hood. You never know.
I think what I see is Kanye and Candace are these conservatives that are. We have to be honest. They're paid, especially Kanye, to, I would say, taunt the left, because it's like, oh, we haven't been riled up enough lately.
Right.
We need something to rile us up. So I look at it like that because I don't really look at what they did is, you could say it's funny. It's a joke.
I think I've said those exact words, actually.
But at the same time, is it the solution? I think that if Kanye really wanted to do something good in this world, I mean, he has a voice. He does sound educated to a degree. And when I say educated, I don't mean like necessarily spiritually educated.
Like Bosch educated, you mean?
Bosch, yeah.
Well, Bosch actually has received a liberal arts education. He's educated, but the problem is he's received a liberal arts education.
Well, I don't know about that, but because liberal arts means the etymology of liberal arts means.
I've received one too, but I'll rag on his because he's an idiot.
But I just see that it's just another divisive tactic of government, the way I see it. Even though we can look at it like, oh, it's not really, it shouldn't do no harm. Well, come on, let's be real. The people that are so entrenched in this, the ideas, these controlled oppositions, such as Black Lives Matter and Antifa and LGBTQ, these are, this is a controlled opposition. So in order to, cause ruckus and get things stirred up and get people to be more divided, they can pay somebody. I'm not saying that they did this, but I'm just saying that we have to remember that Kanye is he is paid to say the things that he says and wear the things that he wears. And it doesn't mean that I think that what he's doing is evil or anything like that. He's definitely not going out. He's definitely not getting people to go out in the streets and riot. He's definitely not, it's not like he's saying anything wrong. But I just think that maybe the message, even though it's a joke, could be a little bit more, more like something that can actually bind us. Because, saying white lives matter, it's like, well, it's just going to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, yeah, like all of us that are talking right now, we know that there's really no harm in that, but others don't. And as you see, people are really, really fired up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, I think if we really want to get to solutions, we're going to have to understand things. We're going to have to, I mean, as I always get on here and talk about, we're going to have to understand the science of morality, because that's just the thing that's never talked about. It is a very important solution, and I'm not talking about a religious solution. I'm talking about like we are just such a violent, divided society, and like people don't want to look at they don't want to look people really don't want to be honest in their statistics, for
Mm-hmm.
one. So like if we're being honest, if we were to look at the shirts and what they mean in relation to Black Lives Matter, well, we go back to Kaepernick with kneeling
Yeah.
and not wanting there to be violence done to Black people from the police. And I think conservatives are not honest when looking at this. Like, yeah, there is these people. I don't take that side. I don't take the stance of looking at the police as our heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I do look at them as oppressors on either side. It doesn't matter. And I think that we need to be more honest in that. Well, I look at the left side as being kind of honest in that area, but the right side doesn't want to be honest in that area.
In regards to like the police being a kind of a threat
Right,
in general. Okay.
right.
I
Like,
mean,
for instance,
I've
if
been
you look
saying,
at all the white people that are killed by police every
oh yeah,
year,
Yeah.
that's the point that I'm trying to get at. We're not even standing up and saying anything about that. White
Yeah.
people are, and that, to me, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Mexicans. It's the same thing. If we're like that's why, when I hear all lives matter, when it comes to police brutality, it's like, yeah, I completely stand side by side with anybody who says that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that needs to be brought up more. I don't think we're really talking about that enough.
Well,
So we stay divided between each other. We're not focusing on uh, things that are really bothering us on, both sides. And
I think what TM was started talking about, like this sort of way of thinking in the Black community of like blaming others for your own problems. Like that's something that I think the Black community is kind of scared to do in regards to how you sort of police your own little area, because that takes a lot of internal, like,
Yeah,
what the fuck am,
self-reflection.
yeah.
for sure.
And that's, that's just not a message that on a mainstream level, I'm not even really sure if it's particularly in the Black community that gets that, but I don't think in general people are getting that kind of take care of your own shit kind of message. I mean, it's like, look how controversial they view Jordan Peterson as. And that's just his general message is just handle your own shit. You know, you know what I mean? And that's,
and clean your room.
yeah.
If women are rejecting you, if every woman rejects you, it's not the women, it's you, right?
Yeah.
Incel champion, incel king.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, with what you said, Nate, it's one of those, like, I think I said this the last time we had a talk too, but like I finally understand what it means. I used to say this a lot: if you believe in the magic works, and if the magic works, then there's no point. Then it doesn't really matter whether or not you believed in it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, police stations all across the board, except for like a local sheriff in a small rural town, but even the police in San Bernardino County, California, where I am, not to mention like every major city police. The fact of the matter is these large scale police institutions are just so terrible.
Yeah.
That it just be that just as easily you could have had the infrastructure, say in a hypothetical reality where you could have the White Lives Matter campaign and then people rioting in pursuit of racial justice for white people, and have that be the scenario for 2020. Instead of people caring about George Floyd, they cared about Tony Timpa or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Tony Timpa,
the white guy.
Tony Timpa. Legalize all drugs. He wasn't being violent. Why the police hold him down? They didn't need to. Like, all of these things could have just as easily happened and gone the other way, and then people would instead be talking about how the police are institutionally and structurally racist towards white people, and people would have made their various rationalities as to why. But the thing is, I'm kind of based, and I think reason is gay, essentially, and so everyone can have the reasons. That's going to get clipped, but everyone has the reasons, and so it's just better to say, well, what's actually, like, exactly what you said. We're going to have to fully agree, like, what's actually happening. The conservatives, as much as I like conservative philosophers like Edmund Burke and Michael Oakeshott, and I definitely prefer them to people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Gentile and Marx, I definitely prefer like conservatives to philosophers to everyone else. Like, yeah, it's true, and you just got to get to a point where you realize everything is a lie, literally everything, except for like 2 + 2 = 4 or something. But like humans inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, but everything else is basically a lie. So just stop believing people.
It's a medium.
I'm lying too. Everyone's telling the truth.
Go ahead, Tia.
I agree with I agree with what Nate said about Kanye. Like, I mean, Kanye is gonna Kanye. He's always been flashy and showy. He's got that Leo, mentality. I don't know if he's a Leo, but everybody knows Leos of being loud and showboaters and everything.
Yeah.
And like that's Kanye's whole persona. He's a shower. Like, we remember what is it? Bush's when he called out Bush.
Oh yeah.
During Hurricane Katrina?
Yeah.
And Bush is racist because he's calling all black people looters. There's that, and then there's the thing with when he jumped up in front of what is her name? What's her name? Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Swift, and he took her award saying that it didn't belong to her, it belonged to Beyonce. I mean, like, he's always been this loud voice. You never seen that? Yeah, he got up on, it was during the VMAs, and he took the award and said that she didn't deserve it, that the award should have gone to Beyonce because Beyonce's video was better and her song was better, and she shouldn't have gotten the award. But like, he's always been this loud voice.
Yeah,
this is like 2000s, early 2000s.
I was always suspicious of that.
So this is years ago, but
I was always suspicious of that moment. I was just like, when it happened, I was like, where the fuck are the security guards? I mean, you don't just let people walk.
Happen,
look at what just happened with the it's they let these things happen, I think, for ratings. But it, like, I think that, like, honestly, I feel like Kanye is just sick of it. I don't think it's a show necessarily when it comes, like, now. I don't think it's a show. I think that he is sick of it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, honestly, a lot of black conservatives are sick of it. It's like there's two different versions of the black community, and it's the actual black family who works hard for their houses and they want their children to be raised correctly with moral, and then there's this other really ghetto side that they don't give a shit what their kids do as long as they're not in their face. And
Right.
those are the ones that are committing the crimes. And right now, BLM wants to focus on those kids that nobody gives a shit about. Their parents don't give a shit about them, so they're going to run around and do whatever they want inside of the community. And Kanye West is one of those people. Candace Owens, they're one of those people, those black people who look at all that stuff and think,
Oh,
I am
see,
sick of it.
that's why.
Like
it's
when
weird.
during the BLM riots,
Yeah.
what happened? During the nice during the BLM riots, like I was sick of it.
Yeah.
Like everything that was happening was just it was so unnecessary. It was so it was really confusing, like why it was on the TV and
Yeah.
why it was being broadcast and why it was being celebrated. Like why is this man who took drugs and clearly was in violation of using fake money at a liquor store, why was he being praised as a hero? Like because he died? Wait, he died because of fentanyl. He died because he decided to do something wrong, and you're praising him because he died. Like it makes no sense. You're putting him on this pedestal that is unnecessary, and you're teaching black children that the only way that you can get attention is to do some bad shit. And I feel like me personally, as a black mother, as a black individual, as a black woman, I am sick and tired of seeing the black community being praised as being ghetto instead of the real black community, which is the ones that are more faith-based and the ones that are more family-based and the ones that are more entrepreneur-based and the ones that encourage the black community to be better than what the media wants to show. And the media doesn't give a shit. They just want to, they want ratings, they want money. So they're going to keep on casting out this whole view that that Black Lives Matter is a good thing, and liberal white people, they don't know shit. Like they're just, oh, black people, we like them, right? Yeah, we like them.
Yeah.
So they just want a virtue signal because they don't want their house to get robbed, by the guy who's on Black Lives Matter. And the truth of the matter is that that they're not going to get robbed because it's actually a rarity for all these things that are really that they're putting out in the media. It's not every day. Well, I mean, actually, in the black community, it is every day that a black person is getting killed by another black person. That happens every day. However, it is not every day that it happens that a black person is being killed by a white person. Honestly, that is literally extremely rare. Most white people are like hella chill. Like they're like, oh yeah, I've got a friend. Oh, he's black. I like that guy, and he tells me about this. Like the moment that you meet a white person who has like one black friend, listen to what they're saying, because they have nothing but good things to say about that person, regardless of their skin color. Like they might see them like, yeah, I know a friend. I have a friend who's black, but that's not really what's on their mind. Is that person is black? Like, yeah, they happen to be black, and that's great. Okay, but at the same time, hey, he comes to my house and he's invited to my cookouts and he barbecues hella good. Like all of that shit is going on. That's the real America. But on the media, it's like white people are killing black people, which honestly, that's not what's going on. I like every day I see black people slapping white people like left and right. Like during BLM the riots, it was black people beating up Asians. Like show me the video of a white person literally going after a black person. I would like to see it.
Well, you see George Floyd, something question mark profit, basically.
Right.
That's the gist. But no, in all seriousness, the reason why it was broadcast on the media was because George Floyd is the sort of Jesus figure of secular Catholics or wokeness. You know, haven't watched my premium series over on theacropolisnews.com. But little plug. We do a little plug, but basically, what's his name? Ibram Kennedy. Yeah, Ibram Kennedy put like he tried to make another amendment and actually tried to propose to Congress. And the first line, no, like the second line, I think was included, like the second sentence, or maybe the third, was the original sin of racism by white people.
Wow.
So basically, like Jesus, and this is why it was broadcast everywhere. This is why there were riots in France because of George Floyd in the United States. It's because it's a global religion of secular Catholics. George Floyd died for the original sin of racism to white people, and every so often you gotta give some you gotta engage in tipping
and a Mexican and an Asian
to the church of Black Lives Matter, so that Saint Kimberly Crenshaw and Saint Robin and Prophet Robin DiAngelo and I'm tired. You get the point.
Okay. I think what was happening, I'm sure I mentioned it before, but like black people, what's happened is that they've been kind of like pushed into a corner. Just growing up and I've mentioned this in South LA, I saw this happen. Like you didn't want to be, you did not want to be associated with like white people. You did not want to act like a white person. And the problem is that the media has done such a good job at taking at all the best qualities of a person and attributes and just saying, okay, that's exclusively how a white person acts. And that's why Hispanic people and black people don't want to act white, because it's not really a white thing. It's just like an intelligence thing. Like reading would be considered white. Doing better in life would be considered white.
Speaking
Going to
proper,
school,
yeah.
speaking
Properly,
English,
yeah.
speaking properly was
the
considered
King's
white.
English specifically.
All
But
that, like, so it's like, in order for black people to be, or like Hispanic people and black people to be better, you actually have to become white in a sense, because those are qualities that are not just exclusive to white people. It's something that everybody should want to aspire to. You should want like that. You want to improve your life. You should be able to want to improve. It's not everybody, like if you're black, okay, you can only play basketball, like barbecue on the weekends, and that ghetto, listen to rap, like anything outside of that you can't do. It's like what the fuck is that? The same thing for like Hispanic people. Like we're kind of like pushed into this corner. It's like if you act anything outside of like what you're supposed to be, you're gonna be ridiculed by your own race.
Yeah.
Not even like by white people. It's gonna be by your own race.
Yeah,
So
like
that's what's happening.
Yeah, like I always grew up with a pretty good, like with no Hispanic accent. Like this is how I always spoke, and yeah, I would get like a lot of like you're trying to be white kind of shit growing up, and I'm just speaking properly. I'm not trying to like, because I don't talk like a cholo and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to speak in complete sentences. That's all. I'm not trying to be
as a fellow
better than-
American, I also don't speak properly, and neither do you, Mr. Filth. This is American English. Okay, this is on forms that that on documentation. This is called what we speak is English simplified.
Right.
You know. Okay, this is it's Yankee speak. It's not. It's not. It's our native tongue.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the King's
Even
English.
like eating
Um,
vegetables is like white thing. It's like I don't eat your
British people.
vegetables. It's like a white
Yeah.
thing. It's a white thing.
Like it's interesting that you said that Senior Filth, that like not speaking with like the Cholo accent is like it's technically whitewashing is
Yeah.
what we call it in the black community. And I mean like I have the white girl voice,
Right.
and I mean ever since I was a kid. And honestly, like I grew up predominantly in a white and Latin community, an Asian community. So, and I went to schools that were mainly Asian, white, and Latino.
Mm-hmm.
And I was usually the token black girl. So like, and my mom, she sounds exactly like I do. Like she talks exactly like I do.
Yeah.
So I always thought like everybody in my family actually talks exactly like I do. So it was always kind of strange to me when I would like I never found friends that were black, like
Mm-hmm.
ever. And if I did, like it was because she talked just like me or he talked just like me, where like if I went to a school and I tried to like communicate with other black kids, it was always them talking ebonics, and then like eventually they'd be like, "Well, you whitewashed,"
Yeah.
and it's an insult. Like, you know, like you're saying that like I'm white because the way that I talk, like it doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Like because
Educated.
I don't speak and you're yeah in your ghetto slang, you know, like I can't be accepted into your little ring. And I always found like me and my sister were just talking about this. She's not political at all.
Mm-hmm.
And like at like absolutely not. Like she's not liberal, she's not conservative, she doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Which honestly is about like 80% of the black community. Like they don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the whole Kanye West controversy. She clapped it. She's like, yes, like she's not political, and but at the same time, her husband is white. My sister-in-law is white. You know, so it's like we're coming from a completely different side that knows and lives with people of a different race,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like when we hear Black Lives Matter, we think to ourselves, well, you're saying that my husband doesn't matter because he's not black. You're saying that my children don't matter because they're not black. You know, you're saying that my outside family members or friends don't matter because they're not black. When I was a kid, the only kids that I could play with were not black. So whenever I hear it, like I think to myself, like, well, you sound
Mm-hmm.
really racist
Yeah.
because the only people that have ever loved me and embraced who I am, regardless of my skin color, about just loving anime, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, reading
Anime
comic
is really
books,
good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
um, yeah, you know, like those kids, they weren't black kids usually. Like nowadays you hear about black kids liking anime, but back in the 90s, back in the early 80s, you didn't hear that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like even in 2000, like the early 2000s, you didn't hear that shit. Black people weren't watching anime. At least they weren't talking about watching anime.
Yeah,
And the
they're like
only
more
reason why
secretive
they
about
like
it.
anime, yeah, and then the only reason why
Yeah.
the only reason why we would say, "Oh yeah, I watch anime," is because we knew a white kid who watched anime and introduced us to anime. You know, that's how we found out about it. It wasn't even our Asian friends. It was always the white kid. He's like, "Oh yeah, I watched this show. It's called Dragon Ball Z." And then you're like, "Okay." You know, it was always the white kid. For me, it was always the white kid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was never the black kid. So like when I hear like when I saw I watched the interview with Tucker Carlson, like the one thing that Kanye West said was that he was the whitewashed black kid.
Right.
And that really hit home for me because it's true. And Kenneth Odens, she actually talks about it in her book Blackout, how she was technically the token black kid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and then the first moment that she ran into a black girl, you know, of the other side, you know, immediately it was, you're stuck up, you're, you know, you're whitewash, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
It was never, oh, this is just a cool ass black chick, and you know, maybe she just came from a different side. It was always, you're a black person pretending to be white.
Yeah.
And like all
Yeah.
that whole talk needs to end.
Yeah.
This is
agree.
probably going to get clipped, but I'm too tired to care. But basically, there's this.
The name of the episode. Too tired.
No, but in all seriousness, there was this art like when Larry Elder was running for governor. There was this article called
Oh, the
Larry
blackface.
Elder the black face of white supremacy,
right?
Basically, and essentially, and this is sort of what spurred me on to look into black nationalism in the corporate press specifically, and even more than that, I have a point. Don't worry, and I'm not going to lose my train of thought. I've talked about this before, so I can actually just express it quickly. But essentially, there's this website called the Journalist Resource, and it's basically for people who are in the news business and they're too lazy to think for themselves on a topic. So they just literally copy and paste the ideas from it. Like the tagline on it is literally informing the news.
Right.
I've never used this because I'm not retarded, but the rest of the corporate press seems to use this a lot. So basically, in 2020 specifically, this really kicked off where a bunch of corporate press outlets, Huffington Post, New York Times, the Guardian, this institutions in Europe, the United States, in not just continental Europe but Northern Europe as well, with like the Scandinavian countries and like the British Isles. They basically came together and said, okay, so race isn't a proper noun except for when we use it with black people. So you may have noticed in corporate press articles the B is capitalized in black.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. They've fully rationalized this. And what they mean by this is politically black. Right. There is people who are politically black, or as the Time magazine the LA Times article calls this.
You mean Rachel Dolezal?
Rachel, well, so basically,
there you go, Dolezal.
Yeah, so basically, Larry Elder was lowercase b black, as in he has white skin, but he's not capital B black, right? He doesn't engage in the ethic of what it means to be authentically black, or as the LA Times article put it, he may be black folk, but he is not skin folk.
Right.
I'm not kidding.
Is that an actual quote from the article?
That's how they said
that
it?
is an actual quote.
Wow.
Oh.
It's like right in the middle of the article too. But that's basically what happened to you and what happened to Candace Owens and what is happening to Kanye West. And speaking of Kanye West, hey Kanye, you've been banned from Instagram and like Twitter or whatever. You had like a suspension or whatever. I can help you clone your Instagram and help you decentralize your social media presence across all the socials, so you are literally completely cancel proof. Okay, I could even set you up with Dan Bongino's parallel economy. We can get it all.
You made TMHands
together. So that on your website, there's a payment processor on there, so that PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, they won't treat you like a second-class citizen for having the wrong opinions. I could do all this for you, and I could do it cheaper than everyone else. I'm literally the only person on the planet that has done any kind of market research into Gab, Getter, and Minds. I hit up over 30 advertising agencies, and not a single one of them said that they implemented these liberty platforms into their strategy. So Kanye, feel free to take a look at my services if you're watching this. Pretty please, thank you, or anyone else for that matter.
But I was thinking too with this whole thing. Like I've been thinking all lately about like how like stagnated the culture is, like how just incredibly dull it is. And it's so dull that when someone just wears a sweater or a shirt with a simple phrase on it, that becomes the thing that, triggers shit to happen. And like it's weird to see like a lot of musicians and artists kind of like fall in line, because you would expect the last type of person to be so closed-minded to be some kind of a creative. But I mean, the thing that I've noticed through the last couple of years is that, like, especially in our world, like there's such a weird closed-mindedness, and I'm seeing it just with the culture, with the art, and like all these remakes and nostalgia, crazy everything. Like nothing's original
The
now.
Woman King.
Yeah, it's just. So I mean, on that front, like, I do really appreciate what Kanye is doing. I don't like this idea where if someone's putting themselves out there and bringing up some controversial issues, like they have to be perfect in that one time, because sometimes it's hard to, you know, present an idea if it's especially the first time that you've ever like spoken out loud about it. So like it definitely takes a couple of tries to be able to like articulate something to a point where, like, you know, it makes enough sense that people know what your point is. And I think on that front, like, I do appreciate Kanye, because like when I was watching the Tucker Carlson episode, he just looks like someone who's just so bored with having to like hold his tongue that he's just saying fuck it, I'm pro-life, and blow me if you don't like it. And you know, like, that's so refreshing to hear.
Kanye's perspective,
Huh?
being pro-life means being against genocide from Kanye's perspective. So I mean, can't really blame him, you know.
Yeah, but like I was thinking too, like, how weird is that? Like, if someone says they're pro-life, that's a controversial topic. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't it be the other way around? You know what I mean?
There's the people who say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying like all the right things, but like I'm more concerned about like the things that you see like at his concerts and stuff. Like you guys know what I'm talking about, like the circles and all these occultish sort of symbols in his
Is that going
it
on
says
now though?
yeah, it's still happening. Like in his listening parties, he had like Marilyn Manson, and then he's still having those concerts where like everybody's like in a circle. I was like, what's going on there? And then and then there's that one picture with was it, I think it's like from like a year ago, Kim Kardashian, and she has like that white robe over her head, and then he's like right there, like it look I'd have to show you guys. Is it possible I just share you guys?
I think I've seen the
You can share it if you find it.
I think I've seen
Yeah, I think
yeah, I think I've seen the Kanye Kim thing. The pictures. I think that's from 2020 when they went to that Met Gala and everybody had to be vaccinated and shit. And then they went like they had like they're like, I don't know, just like ghosts or something. It was weird.
Oh, is that
it
when
was
she
very
dressed
weird.
in a skin tight burqa or whatever?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the same gala that the AOC tax the rich dress happened?
I think so.
Ew.
I didn't even know what the Met Gala was until
like
AOC
what's
did that.
going on right there?
Until
You guys
then.
see that?
Oh, someone.
Can you guys see this? Or?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Oh my god, she looks like.
Looks like
that's. No, that's gross.
It's a well lit picture.
Corpse.
It's just weird.
Maybe that was their theme, the corpse bride.
But he's just dressed in like normal clothes, like he just
Looks like
Yeah.
shoes, a jacket, and an undershirt. Like I dress like that.
Well, if you think about it, like Kim was like he calls her a handler. So I mean, I think that has a lot to do with that. Maybe that's also why he's been a lot more outspoken now, is because they're no longer together. You know, I mean, like, hey, being in a relationship, you definitely have to like take on to keep the peace.
Yeah.
You know, whatever your spouse
Women
is going through, you know, or whatever. Yeah. You know, like it's normal. So I mean, like I don't know. He definitely has had a change since then. I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of his concerts though since the whole his album Jesus is King. That's been the last I've seen of his concerts. And then now he's doing the Met the Fashion Week.
Right. I've totally checked out of like mainstream music for like 20 years, so any concerts I wouldn't know.
And just what main music because they've been interacting more and more with
Mm-hmm.
society. It's awful.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's genuinely terrible.
I think I stopped listening to rap probably when I was a teenager. Well, probably like 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And hip hop, I kept listening to it, but it just nothing was ever really catching my ear. But I do look for underground stuff here and there, and I find it. But like anymore, I'm listening to just like instrumentals.
Yeah.
But I did hear that one song by Tom McDonald called what was it, The System? Did you guys hear that?
I haven't heard any of that.
That's a good one.
It's the one where the hook is like,
I love Tom McDonald.
Something like, "Oh, welcome to the system. Everyone's a victim."
Yeah.
That's like another
Yeah.
person too. Like
Yeah.
he's saying all the right things, but like all the occult symbolism that he has too. Like I kind of like
Question.
I got questions. So
Right.
same thing with Kanye. Kanye, he's saying all the right things, but he brings up more questions than answers to me. Same
Right.
thing with Tom McDonald. It's like more questions.
When it comes to the occult stuff, I think that a lot of the occultist like ideas and stuff that we hear like circulating through the news is all hearsay.
Mhm.
Not that like some shit isn't real. Like I totally believe that like certain things are going on, like human sacrificing, and definitely like
Lady Gaga
and stuff like
poured
that.
milk in a tub,
Yeah.
sat in the tub, and
Of poop?
said, "Praise Satan," and recorded that, and then posted it.
Ew,
Like,
Oh yeah,
praised
of course.
Satan on camera.
But the thing is though, how much of the stuff that they're believing in is real, and
none
how
of
much
it.
of it is just
It's
that
just
they
LARPing,
they just really really believe it, and then there's a huge following of them, and they're influencing other people to do their same behavior.
Yeah.
Like I see all the symbolism and stuff like that are in like the Super Bowl and all that stuff, but at the end of the day I always look at it and think, is this real or are they making it real?
Yeah.
It's both.
Like, because
what? Well, once you get in.
Go
ahead, Nate.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
It's the delay. I've been doing it too. I'm sorry.
So, when you get into, well, first of all, the word occult just simply means hidden, right? So when we get into the world of the occult, then what we're dealing with is master psychology. So master psychologists who run this world, they understand the world of the hidden. They understand symbolism, and they understand what it does to the subconscious mind. And so when they're blasting it through mainstream media to our minds, if we're not prepared for it, if we don't have an understanding of what that means, then they're directing, a certain type of energy. And yes, you're correct. They are energizing it through these rituals. And what we see at the halftime in the Super Bowl, that is definitely a dark occult ritual, and it has been for as long as I can remember. They've been doing that because they know how many people are tuned in. But it is very important to dive into that world to understand how these things are being done, because once we do see how they're being done, once we do see how they affect our subconscious, then we start to see how that is being played out in the schisms that we find ourselves trapped in, these like mental prisons, like whether we're stuck really far into the right wing or really far into the left wing, and or just waking up to that and seeing where everybody else is at and seeing where you are at personally. It's very fascinating, but it's also very real, and it is something that is swept under the rug for obvious reasons. It's mind control, and so if you don't have people under mind control, then it's a lot harder to control them. It's almost impossible to control them. So once we, really take this, serious and really dive deep into it, not like, because here's the thing is what they do is they brainwash us all to believe it's all just conspiracy nonsense.
Yeah.
Which they do create conspiracy nonsense that is
It's the bugs,
Yeah.
and
that's the problem. That's the stuff that gets the most attraction, most like attention. And
Yeah.
it's like the bullshit news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, okay, for instance, the word Illuminati just simply means the enlightened ones or the illuminated ones, right? But then the way that they project that, with, the eye thing and all that, what they're doing is they're just injecting fear and ignorance into the mass mind. And people are like, oh, I don't want to look into that. But really, we should always look into the things that we fear the most, because that's where we're going to find the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's something I think we need to talk about a lot more in general amongst ourselves, because this is a very crucial topic that is left out of these conversations. So,
do you guys know who this guy is, or can you guys see the King?
I'm opening right now.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh yeah.
Okay, so like he recently passed away, right? Like heart complications.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like an interview with Proco, like maybe like a couple years ago. He's going through his sketchbook, and it's funny because he's complaining about the color of the sketchbook. He's like, I didn't really want to do the color green, like, but somebody else like made it happen, but I wasn't really happy with that. And then the same things like with this picture that's right here in the book, there's like an eye on the back of his forehead. He's like, I really didn't want to do that, but they kind of like, it's like they made him do it, and like let me get like a close-up of that.
Right.
It's like a close-up of that picture somewhere here, if I can. And then, okay, so if you should be able to see it now, it's like a green eye, like an all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
On the back of his head. And it's funny because he's saying there's like a translator saying, like, repeating or translating what he's saying, but he's saying like he wasn't happy with this.
Yeah.
With the eye being in the back of his head. And this guy just like recently died because of heart complications.
Yeah, that was a bad dude, man.
And you can't even say because it was because of the vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's. By the vaccine. He's probably vaccinated. I don't care.
Do you guys remember that big event? I think it was in China during the Olympics, where they had all the dancers that were nurses in all the beds. Yeah. Okay. I don't remember exactly when that was, but it was definitely prior to what happened. Well, that's, obviously that's product placement. It's predictive programming.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's the same thing that they're doing in the Super Bowl. All they're doing is charging that energy up to get us ready to accept their new world order type of thing. Right.
I guess to go with that, because there's one part in the interview that I think a lot of people are saying he's crazy about mentioning, but he mentions a media that has a godless agenda, and it is kind of obvious, but let's sort of explain what he means by that. And I guess I'll go first. You have to think about it like this. Can you think of a time where you were watching a movie or a television show and Christians were on and they weren't represented negatively?
Well, no, but I am a modern, as Michael Oakeshott would put it. So that's probably I was just born at the wrong time,
Yeah, but like the point is, like, when the representation of something is always portrayed in a very specific light, that message is being pushed out to regular people. And, if you're never going to see Christians portrayed in a positive light in mainstream media, that is technically pushing out a anti-Christian, anti-God agenda. Even if they might not be doing it deliberately, but psychologically they are sort of doing that to people.
Well, how many conservatives or right wing minds do you know who are not Christian?
It's a good point.
Very few, right?
But from what I understand,
because I'm like basically a Christian in all with all of the other assumptions except for like the belief in God existing, and I don't think Jesus is the Son of God, but I basically agree with him in every other respect.
yeah.
So you can't even say me, so don't.
But isn't the conservative philosophy very much tied into like Judeo-Christian beliefs? Isn't it? Aren't they kind of tied together?
In a European philosophy sense and political philosophy sense, conservatism is like inextricably tied with Abrahamic religions.
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost can't have one without the other. Almost.
Yeah.
Like it is the ethical
I think
backing of conservatism.
Right.
I think what Kanye means by that, I'm gonna say this and then I have to jump off. I think that that what Kanye is talking about is that how the world is now pushing an anti human nature factor. Like look at all the TV shows now, they're pushing transgenderism.
Mm-hmm.
In all of the media they're pushing this whole woke agenda of like, oh, we'll take now they're doing the whole switcheroo with the Little Mermaid.
Right.
All of this stuff like all stems from a certain a certain agenda that they're trying to push, and it's anti-Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's very self-imaging. They're doing a lot of that. They want to please the black community by making the Little Mermaid black. Right there, like you're trying. That's ideal. What is it called? Idolicism. I think I said that right. Yes. Correct me, please. I know I said it wrong. I think that's what it is. I think that's what he means, is that like the media itself is going to an anti-Christ type of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's teaching children that their parents aren't the correct ones. The teachers are pushing that their children's minds are not the sex that they are. It's the media that is pushing that you have that you're really a man when you're a woman, or a woman when you're a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that. Don't get married. There's no more marriage anymore. Marriage has been demonized. Being in a same
I think just being traditional in general is being demonized in every sense of that word.
Well, tradition is the opposite of reason. So,
is it?
and all left-wing philosophy is predicated on the supremacy of reason.
Yeah.
In all things, in all
Yes.
places. If I can't see a reason for it, then it doesn't deserve to exist. That's literally everything. Like I can't understand why there are some people who don't have money and some people who do have money. Let's just abolish rich people.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the thought process.
Well, they're putting a divide in finances, basically. The rich man, poor man, put them against each other, even though the rich man is employing the poor man. They're attacking just the color of people's skin, which is just hatred. I mean, all these things are all like laws in the Bible to be like that you should be against. You shouldn't be judging your neighbor by their skin. You shouldn't be sleeping with your neighbor's wife. You shouldn't be stealing from the local grocery store. You shouldn't be doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pumping it in the media that is okay. And I think that's what what Kanye West is talking about. He's talking about that they're taking all these really bad things, like really bad evil things, and they're making it look like that is God's way of living.
Yeah.
Instead of them being taught that what you're committing are sins.
Yeah.
So I gotta go. I've been on
Thanks,
here
Sarah.
for an hour and a half. Thank you. Love the podcast.
All
Love
right,
being
see
on
ya.
with you guys. But have a great night.
All right.
And
You
Well,
too.
all right, bye. See ya.
I wanna speak on what she just said.
Go for it.
I
Man.
was about to compliment her and agree with her, but she dipped, so she doesn't get to hear that. So.
Well, she might not when she re-listens.
Oh, yeah.
But what I want to touch on is like I feel like she raises a very good point when so if we think about, let's just entertain the idea that, well, to say white lives matter and make that big statement, it's kind of like it's bringing attention to God, to the what we think of, like when we think of God, when we think of Jesus, like collectively, or like right wing conservative, we
Mhm.
think of a white male as Jesus. Now, the way that I look at that, I don't historicize Jesus. I look at Jesus as an archetype.
Mhm.
So what Tara was saying rings true when you hear what she said as the left is being anti-Christ, which means that if you're being anti-Christ, you're being because we have to, and I'm going to say this as careful as I can.
Or you can just not, because it'll
what-
just attack you anyway.
What? Yeah, I know, that's the truth. But like, look at Jesus, not literally, not historically, but just look at Jesus as a white male, as an archetype, as a symbol, right?
Mhm.
What does that relate to? Well, it relates to anybody that's male and it has light skin, right? So when you think about that, okay, if you're anti-Christ, you're symbolically you're anti-white male. Okay, now I'm trying to be as careful as I can when I say that, because I'm saying it symbolically. I'm not saying
Right.
it literally. But what we have to understand is subconsciously that can go into the mind where it's like, think about it. If we're going into a godless society, we're really also going into a white male-less society. That's what they're shooting for. That's what they're going for, right? And so, if you can see it that way, then you can start to make the relation with conservatism, right wing being mostly Christian,
Mhm.
right? You can see like there's a connection there, and if we can see that connection, if we can see the physical connection and the mental spiritual connection, then we can start to see, oh, this is just a big umbrella of Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, transgender,
Climate change, all that stuff.
everything is anti-Christ, which if you look at Christ as a symbol and recognize, it's like, okay, I would, like me personally, I would like to strive to be like that symbol, right?
Mhm.
I want to be a better person. That's all that means. So, and anybody can do this. You don't have to be white male to do that. But the point is that you instantly get put in that box and demonized just because your skin and your sex is what they are trained to hate.
Mhm.
And so now it's like you can see that, like, if you have somebody like Kanye, a white male could never get away with what Kanye just did. But then again, Kanye didn't really just get away with it either.
The only reason I haven't done what he did or did it earlier is because I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Had I thought about it beforehand and had the money to print some shirts and some sweatshirts out, I would have worn those publicly. And I would have given the same responses. I just didn't think of it.
Yeah, but then you would be just labeled a neo-Nazi or something. But like, But it's like Jesse. Do you guys know Jesse Peterson,
Jesse
the
Lee
black
Peterson.
dude?
Oh yeah.
Really funny black dude.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah,
he amazing. He is. He started. What is it? White History Month or something, which is hilarious. But the point is he. You can see how these people are just trying, like him and Kanye, Candace Owens. They see. They can see the BS. So they're using logic. They're bringing up great points, right? They're making a big stance that helps people who are being attacked. The opposite in color to them, but they see them as brother and sister. Well, that's what we'd like to believe, but we also have to be aware of the political, agenda behind that. And
right.
I just see it as like another divisive tool, but it does hopefully get people looking in a different direction than just virtue signaling and having their heartstrings pulled for this other solo suppressed side,
Yeah,
that only wants all the attention on them, and then it's just like they ignore everybody else that is getting the getting attacked and demonized, who's innocent in all this.
yeah.
But it's a deep thing. It's a psychological war. It's a spiritual war. It's a war on consciousness. And this is the thing that we have to really invest more time into to try to understand, because these figures are they might do something big and extravagant like Kanye and Candace, but how much of it is genuine?
Yeah.
That's the thing we have to ask ourselves.
I do.
Yep.
I also want to add, it's not only I do also think it's like just a genuine war on standards.
For sure.
I mean, because like the reason people kind of relate to a religion or become religious, it's something that gives them a set of parameters or standards, so they can kind of live a life that's relatively kind of I guess not chaotic and simple. But
right.
we're seeing like the result of that, and like everything entertainment wise is just gone so overtly vulgar and just haywire. And like I was like I've been getting back into like just like smoking weed and listening to music at night, and I've just it occurred to me, because I listen to like a lot of disco music and stuff like that, and it occurred to me that like anything that's like entertainment, like party songs, it always has to be super vulgar. It has to be a very hypersexualized, hyper, celebrating some kind of debauchery. And I'm listening to these songs that are just about having
a party song.
Yeah.
And it reflects the party.
I mean, like I'm listening to older music and I'm just listening to party songs of back in the day, and they're just about, just having a good time and celebrating love and stuff like that. And now anything that's perceived as like party or having a good time, it's always something just super, people fucking vomiting and banging each other, and like it's so it's and as I'm someone that like, I don't mean to sort of police anybody on a, you shouldn't be overly vulgar. I don't really give a shit. But when like you have to have a good variety of that, you know what I mean? It's like,
for sure.
It's like comparing like a good dirty comedian to a bad one. A good one knows how to mix things up, and like they go dirty once in a while just to kind of throw a left curb, and it's still good. But a bad dirty comedian, they're just
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, they're just saying dick and pussy jokes, and within the first 5 minutes, and there's nothing nothing more. There's nothing more of substance that they're offering, and
Completely agree.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Something about like in terms of music, I like to see more like good soul music, like from like the 50s and 60s, like from conservatives, like because I think that's gonna get like a better message than just saying, "Oh yeah, go vote Trump, vote Trump."
yeah,
Like
yeah,
super, it's just like super cheesy. And I told you guys, like I've never been like really a fan of it.
yeah,
I can appreciate it because they're kind of speaking their mind, but at the same time, like you want to hear something that they kind of like really groove to or like really kind of like enjoy, kind of like that's really gonna sell the old school values like from
yeah.
like the 50s and I was like Stand By Me, like just like that sort of sound. And I mean, there is like a revival of like old soul music, but it's not. They're more like, and it's funny is because they're a little bit more left leaning, and they're kind of like into like BLM, but at the same time, it's I love it though. It's like it's because when you listen to the music, they're not like chanting BLM, but there is just the
Yeah,
music
yeah.
that's speaking. I think if like conservatives like kind of focus on that instead of like it's Atomic Knowledge or all these others like, oh yeah, fuck the system. Like, yeah, that's cool for like 30 seconds, but I can't listen to a whole album just with like
Yeah,
just political like a whole political album. Like I want to listen to
Yeah.
like a nice just long LP with like soul with trumpets with horns with like
Sure.
drums. Like everything just kind of like just kind of like just let that song play, like the bass. Let me hear that bass.
yeah. That's
Oh
one
my,
that's one thing I worry about, like just general entertainment or art, that like it's gone to a point where like everything has gotten political, that like
yeah.
it's almost like if something doesn't have any politics involved with it, like it should not be taken as seriously as something that it's pro-choice song and it's fucking powerful, man. But if like the idea of someone just making a song that's just fun and good, don't pay attention to that. Like,
Well, the thing is, even with like Tom McDonald and like these vote Trump
mm-hmm,
songs, like a lot of the Trump base, and maybe not necessarily Tom McDonald, but certainly Tom McDonald's music is they're not conservatives.
mm-hmm,
They're Republicans. Like they're classical liberals.
right,
So that's why a lot of their stuff has to do with political participation because Tom McDonald isn't concerned with what I'm concerned with, which is forging and protecting that which is wholesome.
yeah,
No other conservative uses that as a definition for what they believe in. It's just kind of a thing that I thought up. Like that's what a conservative is, right?
mm-hmm,
Tom McDonald's is literally, oh fuck the system,
yeah,
and that's fine because Tom McDonald is a liberal, and and you and BA and Mr. Filth over here, you're all proper liberals. You want to make the world the better place.
mm-hmm.
For me, I don't care about the world. I think the world sucks. I think the world is evil. I think the world has deceived me way too many times.
You
So
sound like a goth right now, by the
I
way.
know, right?
I think the problem I think is
Yeah.
you kind of
Wait.
like were born. You're like younger than all of us, and you haven't like really gotten an opportunity to see like the good in people. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's
Fair
like a
enough.
lot of good in people, and you just kind of missed out because the
Yeah.
perception of reality is now being controlled by social media. So everything that you see on social media, you
Yeah.
think it's really reality, but it's not really how people
Oh
are.
yeah.
Because you get people together like us, like we're kind of like we all kind of like have different opinions, but we all kind of like leaning towards the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I
So,
made all of you guys like really cringe like whenever I open my mouth,
so this
But
is good out there. It just
yeah.
seems like very demoralizing when you go on
No,
social
well, I
media
was
because
I was I was halfway through with my thought though, is probably why I came off that way. Sorry. But
oh, okay.
but it's basically like I don't care about the world because of all the things that the world has done to me and the people I care about. So what I do care about though is sort of taking like the place that I because I'm conservative, like a Burkean conservative. I care about where I care about where I live. I care about I care about the community and the wholesomeness and the camaraderie of the place where I reside, not necessarily not necessarily making it a better place, because I'm concerned already,
Uh-oh.
as long as people are creating wholesome experiences for their community, or just their own house, or like with their friends or whatever, you know, or they're protecting the wholesome things that they've already created. You know, like but there's no conservative musicians out there. There's religious musicians, and then there's liberal musicians and leftist musicians. Like because it's actually very difficult to make a conservative song. Like it's stupidly difficult.
Yeah, that's what
conservatism doesn't really have like a teleology of ideas the way that like communism specifically does, or like the way liberalism does, or like Christianity does. There's no doctrine of conservatism.
Is there such can you guys imagine like a Rage Against the Machine but a conservative version of that?
No.
Is there such a thing?
It's literally not possible.
You don't think so?
No, I think you could find a liberal version of Rage Against the Machine with Trump supporters and stuff like that, and post-liberal types, and maybe even some socialists who are coming around and seeing reality. And some Republicans, but not a conservative. Because a conservative wouldn't, philosophically, wouldn't be able to put themselves in a position to make something like that. That being said, I'm not an expert in conservative philosophy, because being an expert in conservative philosophy is definitionally impossible, because again, there's no conservative doctrine.
I just wanted to say, what version of the Rage Against the Machines are you talking about? The old school, or the totally left wing?
You mean the ones that were owned and controlled by Sony Records?
Where they're out there wearing masks and telling everybody to needle up.
Just like an anti-establishment band, but they put out more conservative values. I don't know if that's a thing or not. I mean, I know there's
values mapped on to liberal values very easily. Like liberalism is about how things should be governed and about the use of power, and conservatism, I guess, is about loosely is about how do you make the place that you live slightly better with the things that are in your control, basically.
Right.
Like those can mesh together real well, very easily.
So I know there's back in high school, I hung out with a guy who was into Christian punk, and I've always been curious to like try to find someone who's a Christian punk on the show, just to see like where they're at with this shit.
Probably in a very dark and gloomy place, I'd imagine. But
all right, I guess we should start winding down. I don't know, any final thoughts about this whole Kanye bullshit?
Physical media is forever by Laserdisc.
All right, I guess we'll just end it there.
All right.
I guess Nate, if you want to plug anything.
Yeah, so if you want to follow me or find any of my information regarding natural law, which is what I teach for the most part, morality, objective morality, you can find my work at cubbyhole.com, where you can also find my show Outcasting, and if you also are on Telegram, you can follow me at Outcasting with Nate Cap. And I do weekly shows when I can, if life allows me. And thanks again for having me on.
Trevor, I guess since you're next.
I'm tired, and I've already shouted stuff out like 3 times so far. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Final thoughts, BA?
No, I think we said everything any needed to be said. I had like a question for like Nate afterwards, though. But
Yeah. All right. I guess that's the show. If you guys like the show, like, share, and subscribe.
you're still watching it. 3 hours.
TheAcropolisNews.com.
If you want to join in on the conversation, just hit up the description. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.